There is a new breed of dart player on the way. RTÉ Sport's Michael Glennon has been talking to Van Gerwen and others about the work of the Junior Darts Corporation and the academies aiming to produce the next generation.
The old image of darts was that of beer-swilling men, slinging arrows in a smoky pub. That has largely been done away with, thanks mainly to one man, Professional Darts Corporation Chairman Barry Hearn.
I think the big change is in the perception of darts as a proper sport. That perception only happens when television ratings are high and the television coverage grows. And of course the prize money levels. You know, people outside of the darts world will take us more seriously when they see that we're, say for example, in the World Championships playing for £2.5 million. So the journey really has been one of accelerating the number of events, making sure that they're promoted in a sort of customer-friendly way, that the atmosphere that's generated in the arena is portrayed by the television companies, and also that the prize money level gets on the radar, because we live in a world of Premiership football. You know, if you're not earning £1 million a day, you know, you're not a proper player. But whilst that's an exaggeration and football is a level above everything else, let's be perfectly honest, you know, darts has come through the ranks up to the second most viewed sport on television in the UK and now in Europe. And it's been built on the fact that people believe in it. They believe in the fact that these guys they see the standard, they see the averages, they know that they're technically far more brilliant than they ever were before, but they also can aspire to be a darts player because they see it changes lives, because the prize money levels have rocketed to such an extent that someone like Michael van Gerwen can earn 3-4 million euros a year, you know, well, that gets on the public radar. And that perception changes the view of darts as a pub game into a proper sporting arena.
And with that, what has the PDC done on the base level to encourage youngsters to come out and play away from the pubs and the clubs?
Well, the biggest attraction for me for darts has always been, being a working class fellow myself, is that there are no barriers to entry. You know, it's a very inexpensive game to play. So when you start off with, it's not like you have to find a set of golf clubs and join an expensive club and you know, hope that you get accepted. Anyone can throw a dart. And the beauty of the game is that it doesn't matter if you're fat or thin, black or white, Muslim or Christian. It's just about ability on the hockey. So it's the purest form of sport. Now, from our perception of where we're trying to go to, we realise that we've got to create an infrastructure so that we've got a conveyor belt of talent. And it's almost a bit like Anara and Bevan in the early days, cradle to grave philosophy. So you start off by saying it's an inexpensive game to play. It's very easy to arrange a dartboard in your bedroom, for example, or a dartboard in your garage, as well as a dartboard down your leisure centre or down your pub. So it's not just a pub player anymore. So we realise that we've got to go in at a lower level. On the back of television coverage, we've got a lot of kids saying, I'd like to try that. You know, I think I could play that. And some of them will be good and some of them will be just average. That's normal in sport. But we are seeing the structure now being put in place where we've got junior academies opening up all the time throughout Europe for the youngsters. Just sling an arrow, see if if you've got the idea of it. Watch your hero on TV, copy that. You know how it all starts. I suppose is what Tiger Woods did for golf, but here we are with a Phil Taylor or the Michael van Gerwen have done it for darts. And then, of course, you have the more professional structure where you say, well, we'll create a development tour of a 16 to 22-year-olds, give them a chance to earn some prize money, not a lot, but let them get that feeling for competitive darts. And then from there, you're always aiming for Q School, because that's your one big chance to get that golden ticket and change your life, you hope. And you have to have a dream in sport. And the aspirational levels of prize money fuel that dream because they think it's a real game. I can be a full-time player. The benefit for us as spectators and fans of darts is that because the players are full-time, obviously their technical ability increases. They're not just playing down the pub 2 or 3 hours on a Thursday. They're 6 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the standard has gone up amazingly. And you get your chance amongst 700, 800 people, wherever, at Q School to get that Willy Wonka golden ticket and play the tour. And if you don't, and we have to always remember that sometimes, it is a bit of a lottery because there's a lot of players. So we create the challenge tour for those that went to Q School and didn't get their card. So they've got something to play in and hopefully improve for their next crack at the big time. So with that structure in place, it's from the beginning of when you start playing. And we're seeing things like, I saw a 12-year-old the other day at a 91 average. I mean,
Is that the same guy that beat Rapid Ricky Evans in Cambridgeshire Open?
In Cambridgeshire, exactly right. Now, when you think Eric Bristow won the World Championship with an 88 average, that shows you where darts is, where it's going. And what we're seeing is we tend to be a little parochial in our attitude. We're seeing what's happening in this country. I can tell you now, that's happening all around the world. People are coming out of places. In China is incredible. It just suits an Asian mentality. But also the Scandinavian tour is doing great. The Australasian tour is doing great. PDC Europe's doing terrific work.
I suppose that's one of the legacies that Phil Taylor left the PDC, that he had raised the standard, so anybody who felt like they could challenge him knew they had to come up, and then Michael van Gerwen came through, and then all of a sudden that people are not going to be mixing it if they can't produce
Correct.
your 90 and 100 averages.
Correct. When the easy way to describe it is it's like a working man's golf, but without the barriers, But it does come down to making that 6-foot putt on the 18th, and it does come down to hitting that last double. Phil Taylor raised the bar, and he raised it by such a level due mainly to, obviously, natural born ability, but also with a terrific work ethic. And that's the one thing that people sometimes forget about Phil, is he was a grafter. He put the hours in off the hockey, if you like, off the TV stage. And today's kids are not coming out, with as a big drinker or whatever. They're in it as a professional sportsman, and that changes the whole context of the game. The standard goes up. The kids know what they've got to do. They've seen the great Phil Taylor and what price he had to pay, and they've seen other great players that don't hesitate to put the hours in to practice. Sport, in every context, is about concentration and dedication, and darts no more so, because these kids, they know what they've got to do. If they've got the ability there, they will get it out of themselves by that type of regime. And when they do, it becomes a full-time job. It's a proper job. You're a professional sportsman.
Wayne Mardle, Sky Sports pundit. There used to be what was the way to progress. There used to be a learning curve, and you play for your local team, then you play for a better local team. Then when you become too good for that league, by winning the singles, then you go to a better league. Then you just progress like that. Then you play county, then you play internationally, then you start playing in ranking events, win them, then you turn professional. That was the stepping stone. Nowadays, there's none of that. Like I said, you go from bedroom to world champion, if you like.
Another one from the old generation is Steve Beaton. I met the Bronze Adonis in the Corner House pub in Edenderry. The 1996 BDO World Champion, who knocked out current world champion Rob Cross from the Grand Prix, is proper old school.
I used to go in the pubs when I was about 16, 17, and that's where it really started. In them days, you'd meet most of your people down the pub. It was a different way of life to it is now. When I used to go in the pubs, you could smoke, drink, everything. There was, even when you were playing a tournament, you could smoke whilst you were throwing and everything. There was none of all this, no drinking and smoking. But obviously things have changed. You can understand how bad cigarettes were. But no, at the time, that was the generation, and that's how it was. The way the PDC's done it now is absolutely brilliant for the youngsters. I wish I was 21 again, but obviously the drink's not involved, under 18s are not drinkers.
So what fills that void? If we have moved away from the image of darts as a pub game, where did the next stars come from? How will the next Michael van Gerwen rise through the ranks? The Dutch master is very aware that there's a future to be fought for.
Youth darts is one of the most important things in the world, simple as that. With youth darts, you're developing something new, because darts has a bad image sometimes, and you're creating something new for youth players, because they can earn a living these days out of darts, to go to academy and get a level up and things like that. And the JDC got schools now all over Ireland, England, Germany, Australia, wherever you want to. We got academies, and I think it's a massive step forward for darts. Darts needs new youth players, good players that want to anything in their possibility to be a superstar. And darts is about superstars, so go to that practice board and don't go to your friend's party, but make sure you put the time and effort in yourself to get a better dart player. And that's what we're trying to looking for.
So do you think maybe that a darts player in the future might have a different appearance, a different look? Could be slimmer, for example, in 10, 15 years?
Yeah, could be. That's where we want to go. I invested a lot of money in the JDC because Steve Brown founded the JDC. He already did it years and years ago, and I thought it was a phenomenal thing what he did. And it gets supported by the PDPA, by the PDC, and I think it's the next step forward. We all have to invest in ourselves, and that's a huge thing. Darts is not only about playing darts; it's about a lot more. And I'm already looking forward to the future, and that's, I think, a massive key for all of us.
That's important to develop the people as well as the players.
Yeah, of course. Of course, I'm an ambassador, I'm an investor and a director, and I hope we get a lot of great youth players from that. The JDC is doing well all over the world, and of course they still need to learn a lot because it's not easy to throw all of a sudden 110 average every game, but that takes time. But we still are young, so I got time enough.
My name's Rod Harrington. I sit on the board of directors of the PDC. My job has been, since I've sat on that board, is to develop the setups for all the players to come through, make them fair, bring through a better breed of player, I suppose, from academies, development tour, challenge tour, through to the pro tours. And Q School, I've had a major part in developing all those. I think that we have to evolve, and I think society is evolving. I mean, I started playing darts because I actually owned a bar. Drum up trade, you play darts a couple of nights a week. So, and 99% of all dart players come through that way. But I see that we needed to change the perception of the game. Because if we were going to start to bring in blue chip companies and other sports, to recognise us, we needed to do that. So that's why we used to all play holiday camp competitions and go into competitions where there was thousands of people. So when I first took the Pro Tour module to Barry Hearn and the board and said I want 20 tour events and I want them in sports halls, I want new dartboard setups with cubicles. Thought I was going to have an argument with Barry Hearn over it. Just said, go ahead and do it. Knew that I knew what I was talking about, being a top player myself, and that was the start of it. And then once that got established, we increased the prize money, increased how many. And then I thought, right, we need to bring the youth through. So we started up the Youth World Championship, which had enormous interest. So then, right, I want to start up a youth development tour. Which again had no problem in getting the funding and right, go ahead and do it. I'm sure Matt Porter, the CEO of the PDCs, he was starting then thinking, what the hell have you brought in here? I've got all this extra work to do. But then when we decided to have 128 tour card holders, because any top sportsman in any other sport does not play against the Joe Bloggses. If you want to make a sport elite, you have to make the sportsman elite. So that's when the 128 tour cards come in. So they do not really play only probably one tournament, the UK Open, against anybody else. So once you've got your tour card, you're on the circuit. You've got a chance to win loads of money, which is £14 million next year. From then, we needed to give everybody a chance to get that tour card. So we had a tour school, where normally around about 22 players come through that. So you get a 2-year tour card. So it all worked in, and I actually looked at golf, the way golf, the setup of golf, we literally mirrored that. It was very easy for me. And now the JDC, which Steve Brown approached me and said, look, I'd like to do this. And I said, you've got my full backing, but we need to have it done properly. Everybody checked the right checks, and all these academies have got to be done right. And to be absolutely 100% fair to Steve Brown, he's done a wonderful job. There's now academies in this country, in Europe, in Australia, in America, in Ireland. They're all under the JDC banner, which is endorsed by the PDC. And it's working great. And it's very pleasing for me to see these youngsters coming through and getting on the big stage, and they're not scared of anybody. Watamina this evening, and Josh Payne, Jeffrey Deswan, even Michael van Gerwen. If you interview Michael van Gerwen, he will tell you that learning to win on the youth tour give him the confidence to move on and where he is today. Because 7, 8, perhaps 10 years ago, Michael was nowhere. But them youth tour wins really did give them the confidence. So it's absolutely, we have a wonderful setup now. The problem that we have is that the top players, they're doing so much travelling. I mean, the World Series, all over Australia. I went with them. I was doing the commentating and TV. So I know what their bodies are going through. It is tough. And if you don't keep yourself in good shape, it's going to hurt you. You're going to get old too quick. Now, these youngsters that are coming through, I do tell them that they've got to. I mean, swimming is possibly the best sport for a dart player to do. I did a lot of swimming when I was at the top of my game, and it just kept your body there. You didn't put any pressure on your legs or what have you, because a dart player's posture is actually very one-sided. If you're right-handed, obviously you're leaning forward, and all the muscles down the right-hand side are being squashed. All the muscles down the left-hand side are being stretched. So you've got a terrible posture. So you need to adopt something that's going to level you up, because in later life you're going to have problems. We do see a lot of players, have back problems, and that's obvious because the dart player, the way they lean. But if you keep yourself fit, you're going to have more longevity in the game. And as we move forward, we will see a lot of players just look after themselves a little bit better. We do see a lot of players, the top players, the standard is incredible. And the hard work they put in and the practice they put in to keep at that level is commendable to them. I admire them. But what they don't want to do is end their career too quickly before they've earned enough money to retire. Now, Michael van Gerwen, although he's quite a big fella, he's very fit. He's still a young man. He keeps himself, pretty well ticking over all the time, and a lot of them do. But the youngsters coming through now are starting to think, right, now I need to do this, I need to do that. And of course, if your body's alert, your brain's more alert. And, you get to the end of a tournament, and if you're a lot fitter and a lot more alert, then, you're going to keep your standard up a little bit better.
Recently, maybe a month ago or so, we saw a 12-year-old beat Ricky Evans in the Cambridgeshire Open. Have you noticed that the better players are getting younger from your day growing up, where you might have been competitive, late teens, early 20s, 30s, but have you seen a rise in standard from what you think would be the work that has gone in at the ground level, the juniors and the academies? Massively. And we're only in the infancy of it. I mean, it hasn't been going a few years. And I'm already seeing, you mentioned the young 12-year-old, and when I read that and I retweeted it as well, I thought that was exceptional for a 12-year-old to step up and win an Open like that. And it's not easy. He's played to a lot of good players. He's beaten Ricky Evans. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. We, as I said, through the JDC, we're seeing actually Steve Brand's one of his sons playing absolutely brilliant. We're seeing George Kiddington, who comes to mind. He's come through that youth tour. And we're going to see a lot more. And like I said earlier on in the interview, what I love to see is these youngsters get on the stage when they're taking on the senior professional. They're not scared of them. They're getting up there and they're going toe-to-toe and attacking them. And that's because what they've come through from joining that first academy. And, it's like teaching to swing a golf club. There is ways that you swing a golf club. There's ways you kick a football. There's ways you hit a cricket ball. So they're getting that fine training very early on. It isn't only just to be a pro. The educational side of darts is incredible. I've actually got it in my local junior school in my little village, because the headmaster recognised that my grandson of 6 years old was exceptional at maths and counting. And it was because he watches darts, because my youngest son, Ryan, he's on the professional tour. So that's built up. And we're getting a lot more interest on that. And because, it's on TV all the time, the kids are not educated properly in math. Well, this is one way of educating them. So it's kind of like the whole package, because if you can start getting it in the schools as an educational tool, then all of a sudden you're putting out, say, Michael van Gerwen, I don't know, he earned over 2 million last year. You put that out and the kids are going to go, wow, hang on a minute. I mean, my day, it was, if I could play golf, I'd be a millionaire. If I could be a top footballer. Now, all of a sudden, hang on a minute, you can be a multi-millionaire at darts. And so that whole package of bringing them through from the school academies to the JDC and then to the youth tour, to the challenge, and then onto the pro tour, then the TV events, and then, of course, the invitation events of the Premier League.
the World Championships and the World Series, they're all the elite where the big money is. It just seems an absolute brilliant stepping stone. But as our chairman says all the time, the only thing we require is ability. If you haven't got the ability, you're going to be like me, standing here talking about it and not playing.
I'm Robin Bourne, I'm 21 and I'm from Blanchardstown. I won the Youth Europe Cup, I won 3 gold medals, and I also won the Youth World Masters, and I've been representing Ireland for the past 4 years as a senior player.
My name is Keane McCormack, I'm 15, I'm from Ballingarry in Tipperary. I've qualified for the 2018 JDC World Championship.
My name is Jordan Boyce, I'm 19, and my hometown is Newton I'm in County Donegal. Played in the Video World Youth final at the Lakeside.
I'm Katie Sheldon, I'm 14 years old and I'm from Tala. I'm number 1 girl in Ireland and I'm number 2 in Dublin for mixed.
Wayne Dunn, 16 years old, from Dublin Blanchardstown. I've won an Irish event to qualify for the World Masters for next year 2019, and I'm an All-Ireland champion.
I'm Keane Fitzpatrick, I'm 17 and I'm from Blanchardstown in Dublin. My biggest achievement in darts will probably be winning 2 Leinster titles in a row with the Dublin darts team and qualifying for the World Masters.
Keith O'Neill is my name, and I'm the founder of Darts Academy Ireland. We are a JDC affiliated darts academy here in Ireland, the only one. We're exclusively sponsored by Unicorn Darts, and our mission was in the beginning, and still is now, to find a world champion from the island of Ireland. We run our academy in the Roadstone Clubhouse in Tala, which is a weekly grading system. We compete against other academies all over the world, and the top 8 in the world qualify for the Junior World Darts Championship. We also run 4 qualifiers, 1 in each province. Yeah, basically that's what we're about.
Why did you decide to set up the academy?
I knew that the talent we had at junior level in Ireland could match any level in the world. I've seen what it's like in Ireland firsthand, and I've seen what it's like when I went over for my coaching badges over in the UK, and I knew we had the players to match it, but there was no other outlet to get over there, basically. And the JDC gave us that outlet that we could just throw darts in our local academy and go on their database, and if they qualified, then they went over for the World Championships then. And I think definitely I had a 5-year plan that we would have a world champion out of Ireland. We're about 2 years into it now, and we're getting very, very close to it.
What sort of standard are you seeing from the players that you're bringing through?
Amazing standard, just scary darts. You actually forget that these are only kids. There's 180s flying in, there's 12 darters, 15 darters flying in. They're competing at senior level, even on singles tournaments here in the country itself. Just amazing standard.
Is it important that children see a way to play competitive darts that's out of the pub environment, and it's important maybe as well for their parents that they're not just associating darts with drink, so the darts is with a sport that you can just develop away from the pubs and clubs?
Yeah, I find, especially with a lot of the parents, they're delighted that, especially with the younger kids, they're delighted that we play in a non-alcohol environment. And the JDC are really sticklers for that as well. All their tournaments over in the UK, it's non-alcohol, and it's we have them till they're 18 years of age. Then they can go basically what way they want. But yeah, I definitely feel it's very, very important.
Tell me about your coaching badges. What was involved in getting your coaching badges?
Coaching badges, I went over to Bristol, which is the JDC headquarters, and Steve Brown, who was the founder, we done our coaching course over there. There's not a lot you can actually teach. You can just teach the basics of darts, stance, how to hold a dart. You can help them with their setup of dart. It's just really getting their bad habits out of them, to be standing steady, not to be jumping around, not to be moving around. But darts etiquette is very important. Like, a game of darts always starts and ends with a handshake, and like the manners and everything, like the behaviour of the kids is impeccable. I never have anything to do. Like, even in the singles tournaments that I run with the qualifiers, it's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
What would you say to anybody, any young kid out there, a boy or a girl who's thinking of taking up darts?
Oh, definitely. It's the match side of it is highly, highly important. It's amazing the difference you see even after a child playing for a couple of months. Because if you can't mark a game, you can't really play a game. And some kids are not really into full contact sport either, and it's a great way of getting them making new friends. Mingling with others, and the interest, like you see at City West here, the interest in the darts is huge now. But just to let especially parents know that you can have your kids playing darts and it doesn't have to be in a pub.
Sky Sports' Wayne Mardle feels that the game has changed.
It is predominantly a pub game that starts in the pub. It's like football. Football starts in the park. Well, that's kind of gone now. Darts has gone the similar way. They now play, these kids, they now play in the academies. They now may never throw a dart in a pub or a club. They may go from bedroom to professional. That is absolutely possible. They can pay their money at Q-Score at 18 years of age and then just become a professional. So that's possible. That was never really possible before. That's the difference.